Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. So for those of you who are with us, excited to see you today. It's a beautiful day in Alexandria. If you're not in Alexandria, I hope it's beautiful wherever you are. And for those of you who are listening afterward, thank you for listening. I think you're going to learn some pretty cool things today about really how to approach our fitness in the fall, because it's a great time for reset. A little bit more than maybe you've heard from me before, if you've listened to me before, about how our program is different, and I believe how it is better. And then how can we relate our fitness to the rest of our health and our wellness? And I will walk you briefly around the wheel as promised. So my name is Adrien Cotton. I am a wellness expert. I specialize in helping midlife women, and I define midlife loosely, and somewhere in your late 30s to early 40s. And I typically don't like to associate a number with it. However, it's really when we're starting to feel a change. And the change can happen in several different ways, and we can talk a little bit more about that later. So I specialize in helping you transition into a new way to approach your wellness that is different than the way that you've approached it potentially in your teens, your 20s, and 30s. I've done extensive research. I am certified in fitness and nutrition, and I've done more research on sleep and stress resilience than probably I did in the 22 years that I've been in fitness, because I believe they are the foundation of our health and wellness. I practice in Alexandria, but I have a very robust online program. I work one-on-one with women, and I have a handful of men. And then I work in small groups. I have small groups of women who work with me in person, and I am launching a new virtual-only online concierge small group program that will be starting later this month. And it is an 8-week program that I'll describe a little bit more thoroughly after I finish with the program. So that's who I am. I'm a mother of 17-year-old twins, a boy and a girl. I'm a wife, and I am most likely a lot like you. I run pretty hard. I've got a busy life, and I too am trying to find a way to build my wellness so that I can live a very long life, but not only live a long life, but live a long life as best as I can, free of larger, bigger conditions and illnesses, as best I can. So today you're going to take away the things that we told you you're going to take away. I'm going to start right in the thick of it. The tips on sleep and how sleep can support your fitness, because remember, we're here to talk about fitness in the fall. So the tips on how your sleep will support your fitness, how you can have some stress resilience tools that also complement your fitness, and vice versa, how food can make or break your fitness routine, and I can give you one tip for that. I have many more. And then I'm going to give you some exercises that you can do right now, starting after this call and into perpetuity, that can really help you lose that 5 pounds that many women would like to see, or just to feel better in your body. And then how can you build a fitness-friendly calendar when we have lives like potentially all of us do? So I'm glad you're here. I feel like fall is a great opportunity. For many of us, fall is a natural reset. The summer is virtually over, and we're looking right down the pipe to the holidays, and we're going to snap our fingers, we're going to blink, and the holidays will be upon us. So fall is very similar to what's going on in our lives. We are now in the autumn of our lives. It's very exciting. A lot of things are changing. Just like the leaves may be changing in the next few weeks, so are things changing with our bodies. But never fear, there are ways that we can approach this that are actually, I believe, superior to how you've approached them in the past. So let me tell you a little bit about my approach to fitness. I have several key differentiators because I work exclusively with women. And I said I work with a handful of women too, but I really work 98% of the individuals with whom I work in group setting, in the corporate and organizational setting, and in the one-on-one setting. These are the difference. Number one, and I'm a living proof of it. I practice what I preach. Number one is when I look at my fitness now, and I look back to how I approached my fitness in my 20s and 30s. My fitness in the 20s and 30s was virtually exclusively focused on one goal. And that goal was weight loss. Now, my one goal, if I had to put one word to what my goal is now, muscle, to build strength. That is my overarching goal for how I approach my sleep, my stress, my food, my calendar, and my fitness. And let me explain to you how important muscle is. Muscle balances our hormones. It is the primary generator of muscles, of amino acid synthesis. In other words, the things that support our organs. Our organs are made up of protein. Our body is made up of protein, and we know that the way that we can generate more muscle synthesis is through protein. And how do we do that? Two ways: diet and how you move. So the key components of our program at Adrien Cotton are the following. We view what we used to think of or used to consider exercise or fitness, we call it movement. I like to call exercise movement because it tends to be more positive feeling and sounding, and it tends to continue. So we will keep to the habit of movement long before we continue our exercise program. We clearly have a challenge in our country because we have $100 and $200 billion diet and exercise industries. There is a reason. We haven't figured it out yet, but I believe I have. We need to change the way we define exercise as movement, and we want it to be fun and playful, and again, build muscle. The way we approach exercise in our program is a full body movement. Each one of our exercises, while you may be watching us from somewhere else, you may look and see something that I'm doing or I'm teaching. I am telling you how to use your whole body for that movement as opposed to specific muscle groups or specific parts of your body, because I want to build, you got it, muscle. So I also know that when I am moving in my exercise program, of which I practice every day, I'm continually thinking about what am I trying to work? Am I trying to really work what we call our posterior chain? Am I trying to really work my lats or my hamstrings, my calves? Am I trying to work the back of my body? Then that's what I'm thinking about when I'm doing the movement. I'm not thinking about my grocery list. I'm not thinking about the long to-do list I have for home or for work. I am thinking about what am I trying to work in this movement. I also believe in our fitness program that another big differentiator is the fact that we focus on small habits. So that applies to all of the spokes of my wellness wheel, which are again, sleep, stress, food, nutrition, and calendar. And in the center of our wheel, if you've not seen it in the past, the center of our wheel is wellness. So we achieve wellness in the center of our wheel by focusing on those 5 areas of our wellness. So small habits in the area of how I perform a squat. Small. So I'm going to try to improve some different part of your squat that's going to have huge benefit, not only to generating muscle and losing weight, to actually feeling better and changing the way you sit throughout the day, because after all, a squat is how you sit. So the small habits that I teach in our program, I'm going to give you a few of them. One of them is called the Cotton Walk, named after yours truly. So we can take small walks to the end of our driveway, around our apartment complex, down the hallway of our office, anywhere, in the airport, walk the terminal. We can take small walks throughout our day, as opposed to thinking that we need to bite off more than we can chew and say we're going to get our 10,000 steps in one bout. Because the chances of us getting to the 10,000 steps at one time, given our busy lifestyles, or perhaps even getting that hour-long class, are probably not going to happen when you can commit on your calendar that you'll get about 2 or 3 5-minute walks per day. A little bit goes a long way, and it's actually the way the brain manifests new habits and how it actually achieves goals is through small habits. We know this. Scientists know this. The fitness industry knows this. The diet industry knows this. We know that small habits lead to huge results. So trying to lose 10 pounds in the next 10 days, for example, is not something you will ever hear that I will help you with. I may help you with 10 pounds over 6 months, because that 10 pounds will stay off. We do functional movement. So you probably heard that term tossed around quite a bit. Functional movement in my lexicon means that they are movements that I perform throughout the day anyway. I pick up my luggage and I put it in the bin above me. That's an overhead press. I pick something up heavy from the floor. That is a hinge, or what we call a deadlift. I sit down on a chair, like I said, that is a squat. We do a lot of work with balance, standing on one leg, potentially even getting in a plank position and picking up a hand. All of these different movements we do are either functional in the way that we practice them in our sessions, but also functional in that you're going to get balance, stability, and mobility out of most every movement that we perform because of the way that we teach it. So there may be things and different practices and different exercises that we perform in our program that are terms that you have never heard of. I'll give you an example. We perform something called the thoracic bridge. Now, you may have heard of it, but you may have not heard of it. Either way, the way that we present it and the way that we teach it and the way that you're going to crush it makes a difference, because it's new. And I'm using your whole body, and we are giving you different types of cues and how to approach it based on where you are on your path. And so I believe that challenging the women with whom I work with different things is the way to generate muscle, is to generate new muscle, because it shocks the muscle into really generating neurotransmission, and it really helps grow muscle, as opposed to performing the same exercises over and over and over again. The last key differentiator, and then we're going to open it up, is that I approach fitness in our program and with our members and myself with the goal of strength and building muscle in mind. So if my goal is to build muscle, because I began losing muscle mass at the age of 30, I'm now almost 58. So you do the math. For many years, I've been losing muscle, but I've kept it because my goal has been to keep muscle, not to lose weight. So that means that I'm going to get my sleep, because sleep is another time during our day and our night when we are generating muscle. Our human growth hormone elevates and starts to work its way through our body while we are, you guessed it, asleep. A body that does not recover adequately at night, which I believe is 7 to 7.5 hours of uninterrupted sleep. That means not getting up to use the restroom. That means not waking up to check your phone to see if someone emailed from work or a kid got home. That means falling asleep and not waking up the next morning until you're intending to. That time is when you're building muscle. Okay, so that's sleep. Stress. If I am feeling a lot of stress, and I do, and I work on it every day, if I'm feeling I am in a stress state most of my days, I'm pretty sure you can guess how my muscle generating is going to occur. My cortisol hormone, which is my stress hormone, which is elevated in my brain more than it needs to be, because as a human being, I was intended to wake up every morning with high cortisol to get through my day and to do all the things I would like to do. Well, over the course of the day, it's supposed to decline. But if I'm living my days where my cortisol remains high, I'm tapping into the reserve of my body's ability to grow more muscle. Third, calendar. If I don't give myself time on my calendar for movement each day, if I don't put it visibly and visually on my calendar, I think that's the same thing. I want to make sure everyone in my family sees it, everyone in my company sees, this is when I train. If I don't make time for my exercise, then I'm clearly not going to build muscle. My food. I changed the way I approached my diet after I was really tired of proverbially hitting my head against the wall in my perimenopause years, which I called my perimenopause prison. I was in my 40s. I believe I was postpartum and in perimenopause at the same time. I had toddler twins. You can do the math. I had my kids at 40, and now I'm, as you know, almost 58. So when I was in this stage, I was dieting. I, like so many American women, was practicing the salad with chicken and dressing on the side. Well, I was not only not losing weight, I was gaining weight. And a main reason I was gaining weight is, first of all, my body was under stress all day long. So my body and my brain perceived that that stress response needed a fat reserve because my stress state was so high all day long. My body thought I was starving. So therefore, it packed on fat. The other reason is I wasn't eating adequate protein. And we have to really view our food as one of the main means to fuel our muscles. And if we're going to do that, then we're going to really focus on a protein forward path. For anyone who possibly is vegan or vegetarian, you can still get there. You can absolutely get to the amount of protein in grams that we calculate in our program for you. You can get there. It's just a matter of really making it a top priority. So when all of those different wheels are on, my spokes of the wheel are working, my sleep, I'm getting my sleep. My stress resilience practice includes deep breathing, getting my sleep, getting my exercise, getting my walks in, meditation, prayer, time away with friends, time away with family. That's just a few of the practices that I have. Then it's going to help my fitness. My calendar, like I said, if my calendar is not back to back to back, which it can be, if it is, I am not getting my stress resilience, and I'm probably not really able to give my exercise sessions what I could if I didn't have that back-to-back calendar. So each one of them are interrelated. Each one of the spokes of my wheel are not only individually important, but the most important thing you can take away today, I believe, is the fact that they are interrelated. So I'm just going to stop here for a second. I mean, Paula may want to solicit the crew for some questions, but I just wanted to give you a few tips right away in case some of you have to get off. So number one, we promised you 5 things. We promised you tips on how to make your sleep support your fitness. The science is there, ladies. The better your exercise, the better your sleep. And the other way. The better your sleep, the better your exercise. And exercise, I like to see most days of the week, eventually our members getting to about 30 minutes of exercise with strength training. And then you add on top of that the walks. So that's what the first thing is, the better sleep, which is 7 to 7.5 hours of quality sleep. That's going to make your exercise so much more fruitful, and you're going to be able to generate that muscle that I just talked about. And the same rule goes conversely, alternatively. Okay, how can you create a stress-free fitness routine? It has to be simple. I've tried them all. Trust me. I have tried so many exercise crazes, in part because I too struggled for so many years to figure out how was I going to feel good in my body. And now I still will go and try something new out. If a member comes and says, I want you to try this or this class or this company or this approach, I do. I try anything you ask me to try out to see, does it really fit the bill for me? Does it check all the boxes for me? But it has to be simple. It has to be intentional about what you're doing. If you're going to join a girlfriend at a class and the top priority is for you to join your girlfriend, then that's it. If you joined your girlfriend and you had a great time, that's great. That's perfect for your stress resilience. But if you didn't feel like you really felt like the instructor was cueing you correctly, or there's tons of other factors that could go into you being satisfied or dissatisfied, then you need to think about it, because our time is very precious and you need to plan it. So simple, intentional, and planned. Number 3, how can food make or break your fitness routine? So proper fueling, I call feeding ourselves, fueling ourselves. How can I fuel myself for a really busy workday, or for airplane travel, or for a party of a bunch of kids coming over to my house? How can I do that? And how can I fuel myself for my exercise? So that means I'm going to fuel myself adequately with the right amount of grams of protein, the right amount of fat for me, and the right amount of carbohydrates, which are not a bad thing for us. The carbohydrate got a really bad rap after the 80s and 90s craze, and we need carbohydrates for energy. They are a primary source of energy. I had to figure out what works for me. Therefore, I encourage you to figure out what works for you when it comes to the balance of those macronutrients and how you fuel yourself. Just remember, the diet industry knows that diets don't work. So going forward on your path to fueling your body for what your body needs to live that beautiful life that you lead, that's what's right for you. It probably is not what's right for somebody that was scrolling through on Instagram. It may not even be the right way for you to approach your diet when a friend is practicing something. You have to choose your path. It's time to choose your path that works for you. We're always going to want to build muscle though. So we're always going to aim for that protein first pathway, where we think first, what is the amount of protein that I can get in that meal and snack? Because protein is the currency of muscle, and muscle is the currency of health during menopause. So what kind of exercises? And let me name a few exercises that you can do to lose that 5 pounds of summer fun. Number 1, it has to be full body. When we perform a full body exercise, I mean generating that neural power and our nervous system power in our muscles for every rep, it means that we've actually been more efficient. So it has to be full body. I believe it needs to be different. I believe that different is better when you want to shock your metabolism and shock your metabolic system. And it's not necessarily what you might think. It's not necessarily the cardio burn or the heart rate elevating or the pile or the pool of sweat under your body. It actually could be you don't sweat at all, but underneath the surface of your skin, your muscles are generating tons of strength. So I would say a really good full body exercise, notwithstanding any kind of injury, particularly in your elbows, your wrists, and your shoulders, is a push-up and toes. Because believe it or not, when we don't get enough grip on the floor with our toes, the push-up, we can't generate that neural activity in our legs. And that's what I teach. I teach you how to do a push-up that is a full body movement. You may not love me at the time because it's really difficult from the first repetition, but trust me, you will get to your 10 along the path whenever you're ready. So I would say the push-up. The squat has been studied, overwhelmingly studied, and many, many very smart people in the strength and conditioning industry have discovered that the squat is actually the one exercise that uses most muscles in our body. Because if you think about it, the squat, we're standing on our feet. So everything from our toes all the way up to the top of our neck is being used in a squat, particularly if you're in a program like mine, where I can tell you how should your back be behaving at that time? Where should your shoulders be? If you're holding any kind of weight or what we call load, how to use it and where to hold it based on where you hold it. If you hold a weight in one hand, I'm a big believer in doing this too. If you hold a weight on one side of your body and you perform a squat, the other side has to work just as hard to balance out. I'm a big believer in holding weight on one side. So I would say the push-up and the squat and the pull motion, anything where you're rowing and we're really working, again, that posterior chain, our back, those are the best. And with any kind of row movement, a pull-up, a row, what we call a renegade row on the floor, there are a variety of kinds. There probably are 50 types of rows I can teach you, and I do teach in our program, that can really work most of the muscles in your back at the same time. So we want to work all of them at the same time and be super efficient because we have limited time. So how do we develop a fitness-friendly calendar? You put your fitness first. I've never come out and said it, and you can quote me here. The research is absolutely so conclusive. Working out in the morning or exercising in the morning is more likely to land you in a successful space of building the habit, because that's the first goal, is to build the habit. And number two, to really helping with our health and our longevity. And then yes, number three, if weight loss is part of your jam right now, then definitely it's exercise in the morning, because so many other things will happen throughout your day. They get in your way. So put it first and early and have a backup plan. If you may have children at home or you have needs at work that have to be tended to in the morning and you just can't make it that day, then have a backup, whether or not it's a midday session at your gym at the bottom of your work building, or if it's a walk with a friend in the middle of the day, or if it's that evening. But if you can't get to that workout, there's a saying in our program: the guilt felt around missing a workout or eating something that doesn't contribute to our health and our wellness, I feel like the guilt puts more weight around our middle than the actual food or the lack of exercise itself. And that is because of what happens to our head and our inner voice. We do a lot of work on inner voice in our program. And what happens is our cortisol level, again, is elevated. And when we have too much cortisol running through our brain, too high and never coming down, it puts weight on us because of, like what I explained to you earlier, because our body believes that we're starving. So it packs fat around our midsection to protect our organs. So the guilt around it, say goodbye. So put it first early and have a backup plan. So Paula, I'm going to turn to you. I've gone through the meat, no pun, of the program, and then I can finish it off.
Thank you so much, Adrien. So a bunch of questions have come through,
Nice.
and I will share them with everybody. So somebody wanted to know, what is different from your program than from something like Orange Theory or a spin gym?
Yes, and so I'm a big believer in, most of the time something is better than nothing. And you will never hear me criticize another company, another practice, because I think that I won't work for everybody, and nor will another company work for everybody. The difference from our program is that you will see, like I said earlier, you will see different types of movements that potentially you have not performed before. You will work in a small group. Our groups are typically 10 or smaller. Our new online program that we can talk about in a minute, we're limiting our group to 10. And so you're going to get a ton of individual attention, some of which our members don't want all the time, but I am really, really, really in tune with form. I have not yet, knock on wood, had someone in my program become injured from something they have done in my program. So I am really tuned into how you are performing from the tips of your big toe up to the head position, which are very, very important for a large number of reasons.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, somebody wanted to know, why is it so important to build muscle in her 40s?
Great question. So when we are around the age of 30, our muscles are starting to atrophy. We stop generating muscle. We start to lose it, I should say. We're starting to lose muscle mass. We're also starting to lose bone density. And frankly, something that a lot of, you don't see a lot on the phone at Instagram is also our bone flexibility. So those things, all three of them work together too. So muscle is going to protect our bones. It's going to help our bones be more flexible. It is the currency of health. There was a great, I did see this post on Instagram. The less muscle mass we have, the more likely we are going to have dementia. Muscle mass is the armor for your brain. Our body is made up of muscle. So we need it to continue to live. We think of, as women, trust me, I grew up in the 80s. I grew up late 60s and the 80s. I grew up with burn, burn, burn. The faster my heart rate was going, I wore a heart rate monitor. Sweat pool was the litmus test for if it was a good workout. What I didn't understand is how important muscle is for health, for just health. It helps actually with our stress levels. It calms down our brain. It is a hormone balancer. Muscle has probably 100 different jobs in our body, but let's just remember we are made up of muscle. But we think of how we look, the muscles in our body and what it looks like. Now, in this phase of our lives, in the autumn of our lives, it's an opportunity to look at muscle as something we need to live.
Great. So somebody asked about going for walks with her friend and how to optimize that time.
Yes, so I would need to know a little bit more about you and your friend's plans, of course. The Uber instructor I am. However, I would say number one, yay you, because fitness practiced with a social group or like the tribe we spoke about in our blog a few days ago. We know, again, research tells us that that is a practice that will continue. It will become habit. It will be more fun and playful if we do practice it with someone that we really like. Number two, you're kind of checking off two boxes. You're getting that connection time where we're getting our oxytocin, which is our beautiful neurotransmitter or hormone in our brain that elevates when we're connecting with another human being, which we need to live. And then we can really have fun on our walks with our friend. If I was going on a walk with a friend, I would decide, do I really need this to just be a stress resilience walk? Am I going to leave my tech at home? Am I just going to focus on listening to my friend and sharing some things with her? Or is she interested in turning up the volume? I have a friend I walk with once a week, and we walk to the local elementary school, and she's working on her chin-ups. So why not? I might as well too. So we did some chin-ups. We're probably going to throw in some squats and push-ups. I really am a big believer that turn that walk, if the time is right, into 10 squats every block. A push-up on the curb, a push-up on the park bench. Why not? You're there.
Oh, that's so great. These last two questions are about the new 8-week program. Do you want to talk about it a little bit? And then if you don't cover what the questions were, I can ask them as well.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because you can always keep me
Okay.
straight here. So the new 8-week program. So I have had a concierge small group program in my company for about 4 years now. And something that I used to require was a 6-month commitment. Now, are you going to sign a contract? And if you leave, is there going to be any financial repercussions? No. But the reason why I have a 6-month commitment is really a commitment to you. It is your commitment that you are going to stick with this program that is all inclusive for your wellness and your fitness. And you'll focus on it for 6 months, because I can tell you, if you follow the program and you do the work, you will see and feel a difference. You'll start to feel different in about 6 to 8 weeks, but then you'll start to really see and feel a difference in your body, and really how you feel, how you sleep, your stress levels, all the other components of the wheel. So what the program is we meet 1 day a week at the same time. I have 2 groups I've already listed. It's on my website. One is going to meet Mondays at 9 a.m. virtually. Both groups are virtual. And one group is going to meet at 6 a.m. on Thursdays. We spend 1 hour together with me live. For the first half hour of our time together, you will learn the tenets of the wellness wheel. So we will walk first session, we talk about the power of habits and the science behind habits, because I really want every new member to understand that habits are literally the name of the game. When we develop small habits and we attach other habits to them, it's a win-win. So we go through habits, and then the next week is on menopause, perimenopause, and menopause. And then we go through the different spokes of the wheel. Each week we hit a wheel spoke after that. And then the second half of the session is strength training. So for the current group, the groups that are starting, and there is no equipment, it's very little equipment required. It's a very small purchase of a few items. We've got a little Amazon shop set up for you. And it's 1 hour. So a half hour of strength training with me could sometimes feel for my members like, I'm good, I don't want any more. So a half hour, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in the fitness industry for 22 years. I can really provide you with a whole body exercise program that gets you warmed up. You get your strength training in. Yes, I will get your heart rate elevated. Do not fear. And then we can conclude. So it's an 8-week program, and it's intended to help women understand a little bit more about the longer term commitment program, because that's really where you'll start to see a big difference. But the 8-week is just to give you a little teaser of what you can expect in the program. How's that, Paula?
That's fantastic, but just going a little bit deeper on that. So if somebody's really busy, why should she sign up for your program, which includes wellness training, when all she thinks she needs is more exercise?
Great question. It's very common. It's very common because for lots of reasons. Number one, we are conditioned. We are preconditioned to believing that we need an hour every time we work out. We are preconditioned, and there's nothing wrong with an hour workout. But when we have limited time and we really don't understand what's going on with our bodies, and we really don't understand the importance, and not only the importance of, but the science behind the sleep that I teach, and the really manageable tips and achievable tips that I teach, we have to now look at our wellness different. We have to, because the old days of high intensity cardio and dieting with, like I said, the salad and the chicken and the dressing on the side, they don't work. So we have to approach our wellness from a much more holistic and global perspective, taking into account all of these different facets. And so the wellness is really important, as is the movement. So you get both in an hour with a 22-year veteran at a pretty reasonable, affordable price.
Yeah, actually, that sounds amazing. But the flip side question is, how can you cover all of that material on the wellness wheel, the stress, the sleep, the movement, what am I missing?
Calendar.
The calendar and the
Yeah.
food in 30 minutes and still give the participants a good workout?
Yeah, our team has put together with me a really strong program. We have really considered what's the most important part of our program. We've, of course, interviewed the about 35 members who are in a program now for what is the most important thing that I can open up your eyes to about habits, about menopause, about sleep, stress, calendar, food and nutrition, food and movement. What can I open up a new member's eyes about and help her get to that next step of really taking a completely different approach to how she's been viewing her wellness for the past however many years of her life. So we have curated a program that is like right down to the minute. I mean, we start each one of our sessions, as Paula knows, with a minute of deep breathing. I teach you how to participate in deep breathing and to engage in it, the value of it throughout your days. And then, but we intentionally set the time for ourselves. And then for that next 29 minutes, we have curated and we have practiced. We have a really, really well thought through program in each of those areas. And it's just enough that you could literally stop at the 8 weeks and move on elsewhere, or you could stay.
Does anybody have any other questions they want to pop in the chat? And then also I wanted to just direct your attention to the note that I put in about where you can go on to find more information about the 8 weeks of wellness, when it starts, the times, the dates, and the cost. And there's a link in the chat. And if you can't find the link, you can also just go to Adrien's website, www.adriencotton.com. And there's a banner about the 8 weeks of wellness, as well as all of Adrien's programs. But you can click on that banner to find more information about 8 weeks of wellness.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that, for those of you who are here and those of you who are listening, my personal email is adrien@adriencotton.com. Or you can email me anytime and just ask, I have a challenge with this, or that time doesn't work for me. And trust me, I know we are all so busy. So my passion is helping you. And it is really how my work in life is to help women understand that the old ways don't work anymore. And that there is a new path that makes feeling in your body even better, even feeling better in your body. I feel better now at 57 and over and a half, 57 3/4 than I felt at 27. Not only because I feel better physically, I feel better emotionally. I feel like I know this is what I should be doing. And if we are the right match, then I think it's a really powerful partnership. I'm happy to open up also. I have so many members who would be happy to speak with you if you have questions from a participant or member's perspective, but I feel free to reach out to me individually as well if you have any more questions for me. I can tell you that my roller coaster ride that I took for so many years as a fitness instructor is why I'm here. Because if I hadn't have gone through a really, really challenging perimenopause, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have closed the doors to my very successful gym. I wouldn't have taken on this role to really figure out what is going on in a woman's body in this time. And I wouldn't be here with you today. So I'm grateful to be here with you. I'm grateful for your time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Adrien.
You're welcome. All right,
Bye.
everybody have a great weekend. Let me know if you need anything.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.